This is Woodman here. To live is to struggle. It's in struggle that we appreciate what we have. Have I ever come close to death in my life? By my recollection, many, many times. I remember when I was in high school, I had a leather goose down coat. I loved that coat so much. My dad caved in and bought it for me, but he complained about its cost. It was way too much money. He said I better take good care of it. And I understood. And I usually had to get to school each morning. Even though I went to school, high school that is, it was in Manhattan, and I lived in Brooklyn, so that's like an hour train ride each way. And the one particular guy used to see me walking in the mornings with the coat on, always headed towards the Flatbush Avenue Junction train station in Brooklyn, near Midwood, and he took note of it. A few days later, he was laid in wait, hiding in the bushes, and he popped out with a gun under his coat. He said, "Give me your coat, or you will be shot." I didn't cause trouble because my neighbor apparently had resisted a mugging that she had undergone a few months before, and the mugger shot her. So, remembering that experience, I didn't want to get shot. So, my neighbor, of course, when she, went to the hospital, she was there for some time, and then when she went to come back, she never did come back. She didn't even go back to her house to move her things. Like, she literally paid someone to take everything out of the house for her. We never saw her again. She was so traumatized by being shot in this mugging that she just couldn't do it anymore, and she moved to another area. Another time, I was at a party with my brother, and I remember an individual at the party started really carrying on. He was drunk, and he pulls out a gun. And so I'm like saying to my brother, "Oh, look at this guy. What the heck is his problem? It's all fun and games if somebody pulls a gun out, right?" And I'm like, "Brother, brother," and I'm looking around. He's not even there. And then finally, I see him 3 houses down by the corner at the beginning of the street. And I'm like, "How did he get down there so fast?" And he's waving his arms at me. And so I just sort of, walk over slowly. And he's like, "What?" He's like, "Well, what's wrong with you, man? You why didn't you run over here at the first opportunity?" I said, "What?" The guy was waving a gun. He's like, "And you're not afraid of getting shot?" I was like, "Well, if he was going to use that gun, he would have used it by now." It sounded to me like he was just talking a lot of smack. He's like, "Man, I can't be like you, man. You're taking too many chances." you know? And so inevitably, we ended up leaving the party because we just didn't want to be in that risky situation anymore. But the crazy thing is that my brother takes me to his friend's house, and when we get there, there's a body bag in the front living room. And I'm just like, whoa, can this day get any stranger? Well, apparently his friend's relative who lived there died. And so I'm just thinking, this is insane. And so then you have the EMS coming back and forth, picking up the body. It was actually a weird, weird day. But things happened that were very weird. Like I remember when I was in college, we're probably talking about a year or two before that. I get pulled over by these police officers. Now, mind you, getting pulled over by one police officer, okay, sounds pretty common, but actually I was pulled over by 6 officers, right? So I'm completely surrounded. They're like no sudden moves. And despite this police presence and how intimidating the situation seemed to be, I'm actually angry at these guys. I'm actually yelling at them. I'm surprised they put up with me yelling at them. Because I'm just saying, yeah, blah blah blah. It's a racism thing. You just want to pull over the black man. They're like, "Sir, no, sir. There was a report of a stolen vehicle. This is a very serious investigation." And I'm just like, ugh. Suffice to say, I didn't get arrested. I didn't die. And eventually they just let us go. And they said, "Oh, we're sorry you matched some bolo." I was like, "Yeah, you wouldn't even tell me what the bolo is. So how do I know if I've matched or not?" So, anyways, that was that. A couple years later, after that, I want to say maybe about 3 or 4 years later, I was married. My now ex-wife, but wife back then, is pregnant with my daughter, right? And we're driving back from Miami. We're headed into going towards Broward. Like we're crossing over Golden Glades. There's some walls right there along the side as you're going towards Miami Gardens Drive. And so it was raining real bad, and so there's slick water on the ground. Cars just start hydroplaning left and right. So I remember watching 2 cars. One spun out of control, hit the center guardrail. The other spun out of control, hit the concrete barrier on the right side. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, like, are we going to be next? and how bad will it be? But I remember the driving test from when I was 17 years old. It's a written test, and they tell you when you start skidding like that, always drive in the direction of the skid. And so, at the time when I answered the question on the test, I didn't even understand what the heck they were talking about. I just knew that that was the right answer, was to drive in the direction of the skid. But I didn't ever any real world practical experience as to how that worked. So I went and used it here. The car started to slide out of control by going to the left. So instead of turning the opposite way, I turned the wheel to the left. And then when the car starts to slide to the right, I don't go the opposite way. I slide the car to the right. And then eventually it righted itself out, and I kept my hands on the wheels straight, and we lived. And me and my ex-wife were just looking at each other like, what just happened? And in her mind, you could almost hear her thoughts that she's like, we lived. Again, crazy, crazy experiences. I want to say maybe about 6 or 7 years after that, I remember I am in these apartments. It's not the best area in the world. It's a very sketchy area. And I am watching one man shoot another man to death. And, it just kind of affected me because, my daughter was actually the first to notice. So I got her right inside the house, locked the door behind her from the outside, which is kind of strange because I'm in danger just as much as she is, right? So why do I put her in the house and then I lock myself out and I'm at the front door of the apartment? I'm thinking to myself, why didn't I just go in the apartment with my daughter? What did I think I was going to do? Guard the apartment against this armed gunman killer? Me with no weapons? Like, what am I thinking? So that was extremely strange, but it was a defensive thing in me that just told me to stand guard in front of the door. It was weird. In my mind, it's what made sense for me to do. The guy's barrel was still smoking. The victim, poor guy, is writhing in agony. He ended up dying when he got transported to the hospital. The gunman came within about 8 feet of me, and he's looking me in the eye. I'm looking him in the eye. He's got the gun in his hand, and he doesn't do anything. I guess he had no beef with me. But he just kind of turns the corner, runs to the parking lot, and then out into the streets, and I never see him again. And so the bottom line is I could have just as easily died there too. But I didn't. And it's almost like, in a way, I didn't even seem to fear death, but that doesn't mean you should do anything reckless. I don't know why I acted the way I acted in these situations. I just knew how to be a protector, I guess. That was my natural person, but that I'm down deep inside. But at the end of the day, we should actually not follow my example from back then. It's actually probably a very stupid or bad example to be setting for others. It's important for you to live, and you should live a life of intention and dedication. You want to, in a deeper sense, have this duty and commitment. You should approach any ideas about living life with sensitivity, particularly considering that sometimes it can be tough. People can go through mental health struggles. Their perspectives are very difficult for others to appreciate. And so you want to have support and guidance from those around you, intervention, mental health professionals, spiritual guidance. You want to make sure that people get the help they need wherever it comes from, judgment free, you know, non non conditional. And you want to see life as a period of growth and learning and fulfilling an aspect of mission. The idea being that each person has a unique path and contributions to make, and leaving prematurely can be viewed as cutting short that potential. In other words, don't commit suicide. For those who hold this belief, life's challenges and struggles are often seen as integral parts of the journey, offering lessons and experiences that contribute to personal and spiritual development. The concept is that enduring these challenges can lead to greater understanding, wisdom, and eventual fulfillment of one's mission. Albert Einstein once said, "There are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle, and the other is as though everything is a miracle." And so that's my point to you: is you have a contract with God, you have a mission here on earth. Don't don't back out of it. Don't take your own life. Don't just look to pass away because you're sad. There are people there to help, and you should always try to help. You should understand that your life, as difficult as it might seem, is a blessing. It's also a thing of great beauty, and you should appreciate it even when you go through times that might be tragic or very, very troubling. And so The message of this all is it's easy to die, but it's far, far harder to live a purposeful life. Hope you enjoyed this message. If you're new here, welcome aboard. It's a safe space. If you're returning, I am glad you're back. Your support makes this channel possible. Please like, share, and subscribe. And in the name of the Most High God, I wish you abundance, health, prosperity, wealth. I just wish you ultimate protection in your day-to-day activities in your life, that you continue to appreciate everything that God gives us with an attitude of gratitude. So on that note, Woodman signing off. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.